I'm happy for this opportunity to present. Um, I know they already presented me, so I'm directly going to dive into the topic for today. So I'm actually a lawyer or a law lecturer at Final International University. So that's why my topic will be focused on legal responsibility and accountability of the AI. So to go forward, I'm definitely going to start with introducing the legal responsibility and AI, which is artificial intelligence. And also, I will talk about the legal responsibility in civil law and also in common law and the legal responsibility of AI actions. And I'm going to talk about the cases and the legislations that are now available for that. And I will suggest some the future of the AI legal responsibility. And we are going to conclude on this topic. So before to go to the hem of this topic, why we're talking about legal responsibility today, and specifically AI legal responsibility. Since yesterday, I've been hearing a lot of questions, especially about this topic. So, of course, uh, AI is taking almost the part of everything in life today. We can find AI into finances, health, business, commercial transactions. So almost everything we can find AI. So because of that, of course, the law will not be left behind, not to try to regulate the actions or the use or the deployment of AI. So since we have AI now, we are using it almost everywhere. There are situations where AI is acting and is causing harm to people. And the question is, when AI acts wrongly, who should be responsible? When AI killed, if I want to make it worse, who will be responsible? Right. So the hem of this topic today is to examine the existing status or legal legislation on legal responsibility generally, and to try to see how these legislation are shifted into the protections or the responsibility that are affiliated with AI. And we are also going to explore, as I say, different jurisdictions or legislations from different countries, and also different part like civil law and common law, because of course, as just Mr. Anand said, there are different laws and regulation in different countries because generally they follow different rules and regulation. And we are going to suggest also what we think about it. So legal responsibility, what is legal responsibility? So I said here is the obligation recognized, or I can say imposed by law to answer for one's actions or omission and to repair any harm caused to order or to face sanctions, or it can be being legally accountable. So if you want to be legally accountable or legally responsible, is for you to be able to answer for anything that you've done that actually caused an injury to someone. And in legal responsibility, we have different types. We have civil liability, we have criminal liability, and administrative liability. So don't be confused because I'm using some term liability or responsibility is all going to the same thing, right? Legal responsibility is like liability. Who is liable? So for civil liability is meant to repair, right? It's not on punishment, is to repair. And we are going to see more detail into different jurisdictions, as I said. So it can base on negligence, fault, breach of contract, breach of your responsibilities, right? So civil liability here is focused on compensation. Criminal liability is focused on punishment. So, of course, we know under criminal liability, we have the intent of someone can have to cause a harm, or the guilty of mind for someone to want to intend to kill, or the guilty of act of someone that want to act to kill. So, in criminal liability here is punishment or paying a fine in case you have been found liable or responsible. You are going to maybe go into imprisonment or paying some fine. And we also have administrative liability, which is focused on the state, right? The responsibility or the state generally. So AI, of course, since yesterday we have been talking about artificial intelligence in different ways. So for the short definitions here, we say that is a science of creating systems or machines that can think, learn, and act like human, helping to solve problem. But I can also say that it can sometimes go beyond human intelligence or human understanding, because of course we are seeing how technology is growing, and specifically AI is also growing at the same time. And I noted some type of artificial intelligence here, reacting artificial intelligence, which can have Spotify, Netflix, limited memory, generative AI, theory of minds, which are not yet available, but this is the creation of AI that can be thinking and reacting like human being, and awareness, sorry, AI that will be self-aware, like will know everything and understand everything. And how it's work, we were able to know that it can work out by imputing data collections. So AI needs data to learn. Of course, the AI is not something that is coming from heaven and falling, right? It's not coming with all the knowledge and the capacity, right? We human beings, we are empowering AI. We are giving AI data, informations, and AI actually will be able to learn from that and to be able to give us back from what is existing. And also AI is trained. So by learning, we talk about using algorithm and machine learning, ML, which allow the AI to continuously learn. That means that it can, as much as it's receiving data, is expanding its way of thinking or of creating. And we have reasoning ways, decision making. Once trained, AI can analyze new data and decide what to do. For example, if you're using ChatGPT, in the beginning, ChatGPT does not know your name, but if you are putting your name consistently, next time it will call you by your name. So the more data you are giving to ChatGPT, the more it's giving you back. And also outputs, actions, and responses that gives answer or predictions or to perform a task. So to continue, to talk about legal responsibility in civil law and more focus on the French law first before we go to the common law. So before I establish this in French law, I want to tell something. In law, for someone to be able to be legally liable, the person needs to have a legal personality, right? So it can be a person, it can be an entity, but the person needs to have the capacity to sue or to be sued, to have possessions, to be able to manage something. And for now, in law, we just have companies that have legal personality. We have a human being, of course, from the birth to now. Us human being, we are legally recognized. We also have government, we stop by the tree, because we also have public entities like international organization that have legal personality. So here we are going to see legal responsibility in civil law under French law. I put here three main articles, knowing that civil law is focused on legislation, not really on cases based. So the first article, which is Article 1240, is one of the main article in civil law on legal responsibility. The article said in French, because it's a French article, it said tout fait quelconque de l'homme qui cause à autrui un dommage oblige celui par la faute duquel il est obligé à le réparer. So this article is putting the basement of anything that you do with your own actions, you have to be able to repair it. So it's the basic of legal responsibility in civil law. And the second one, the first one is based on fault, damage, and causal link. That means that you need to do something, and the thing that you are doing should cause a damage to someone, and there should be a link between that, right? And the second one is on negligent or imprudence. That means anything that you do or you did not do by negligence that caused harm to someone, you need to be responsible for it. And the last one is the responsibility for things and third parties. That means that anything that is under your possessions that will act wrongly, you should be responsible of it. Or again, for the employers and employee, the employers can be responsible of their employees' actions. So not to waste our time, we go to legal responsibility in common law. And legal responsibility in common law is mainly based on duty of care, which is different from common law that is a strict liability based on legislation, right? So in common law here, we have negligence tort law. You can check the case. The case was on a client that drank something and they found the product was wrong, and they have to sue the manufacturer of the product. And we have also under product liability, which implies strict liability for defense of products. The person selling something or making something should have the duty of care toward the consumers. So if you are selling something and it's defective, you will have the duty of care toward your consumer to repair. We have vicarious liability, the same, that is the liability that you can have for the fact of the people under your cares or under your responsibility. Criminal liability, I explained the beginning, actus reus and mens reus, and breach of contract. So to continue with, first of all, I need to explain concerning AI legal responsibility, as I said in the beginning, because nowadays AI does not have a legal personality. So all these laws here are applied into situation that has to do with AI. That means, like, if you have a company, let's take the example of OpenAI, which is a company that owning ChatGPT. If there is a legal situation, ChatGPT maybe produced defamations or did something wrong to someone, the question is who to sue. Of course, in this situation nowadays, the person should sue the company. That means OpenAI, right? Because ChatGPT is a AI, so they are not going to sue ChatGPT, right? They are going to sue the company. So the laws here apply. Is Article 1240 will apply Article 1241 or Article 1242. That means that because they are the owner of that product, they have to be responsible. Same for common law, negligence and tort will apply in the case where AI is involved, right? Product liability is the same. If you are selling something that was made by AI, you have to be responsible for it. And same for the rest. So to go up on legal cases, I selected some legal cases here. The case that is involving the NHTCA, which is the national institution in US that is responsible for transportations, versus Tesla, is an ongoing investigation. The number of an investigation is here. You can check it online. So the investigation is actually on the automated cars that Tesla is producing, right? Because they want to understand, in case where the car has an accident, because the car is autonomous. So the company Tesla will not be with the consumer or the deployer to drive the car with them, right? So the car is driving itself. And if the car made an accident, who should be sued? So they are actually doing this investigation to be able to allow Tesla company to well inform their consumer or the people buying and user of the Tesla cars, to inform them on all the stages that they need to know. So to give them more clarity on how to use the car to avoid accident in such case. And we also have the case of Moodfat versus Health Canada on legal responsibility for misleading information provided by the chatbot on the commercial website. So on the Air Canada commercial website, Mr. Moodfat were exchanging with the chatbot, and the chatbot gave a wrong information, and the information caused harm to the person. And in the case, they have the court decided that Air Canada should be liable to fix the damage. Of course, the damage wasn't directly caused by Air Canada, but is caused by something that belongs to them, which is the chatbots and the AI at the same time. Also, the case of Coins PTE Ltd versus B2C2 estate of 2020. The use of automated trading software for trade of crypto assets. So in this case, they were using automated trading software to make a transaction of cryptocurrency, and the automated software ending up sending it to multiple persons or multiple accounts. So the reason here is to know who will be responsible for search. And we also have the case of Loomis versus Wisconsin of 2016. In this case, actually the court, right? The court, and of course, lawyers, they are also using AI tools now. So the court used a risk assessment tools, which is the AI tools, to determine and sentence someone, right? So the person went to the court, and the court, because they have a lot of cases, they have to use a AI tool specifically for that, and they sentenced someone. The person was guilty, and the person appealed to the Court of Appeal to say that it was biased for the court to use a AI tool to decide on their sentencing. Why? Because as we just said, AI is learning from human being and is learning from data, and AI cannot go outside of the data that is consuming. So let's say that someone is using a AI tool to sentence someone, and in the tool there are perfect criteria that AI has. For example, they will tell AI, if the person is not from this country or from this specific part, the person cannot be, maybe the person is liable, just to make it like that. So the AI is not like a human being that has feeling. AI is not like a human being that has understanding. AI cannot apply equity, right, or fairness. It will just judge according to the information that they have. So the person appealed to say that it was unfair for them to use AI to judge the situation. And of course, the court said that the first court violated the constitutional right of the person. So to continue here, we have some legislations that are put in place to try to solve this problem. The question of who is liable for AI actions will not end now. This is the truth of it, right? So countries, governments, different legislation, they are trying to put in place legislation to be able to handle AI actions. So we have the article L2268 of the French Penal Code, which is trying to punish manipulated audio or video recording of a person. For example, deepfake, right? If someone is using another person's image to make videos or audio, of course, the person will be punished by this law in France. We also have French bill of 1630, which established a copyright framework. We also have the EU AI Act regulation. The EU AI Act regulation is one of the greatest regulation that is in place now. It is not fully into application, but some part are already out there, and some are supposed to be out in 2026, and some even 2027. But one thing I like with the EU AI Act regulation is that it's imposing some prohibited AI. So that means that if the AI should, for example, have to act like a human being, for example, under EU, the person will not be allowed to release that AI. So for more information, we can still check the regulation. I think we are going to have more information, but it's very deep and it's really trying to solve the problem of AI responsibility. And we also have the UK AI regulation on their white paper. They are trying also to protect mainly consumers and citizens against the use of AI. So, some future of AI legal responsibility. Of course, the question of who is responsible is still uh, resting on the company who, like the case of AI, the company that is producing this AI generally. And in the future, we are going to see the share liability. That means that the company alone shouldn't be liable. Why? Because into the use of AI, there are different parties, right? The company is there, the developer are there, and the users also. Sometimes it may not be the company fault. So why to give the liability to the company to repair the action of that particular AI, right? So with the time, we are going to see that at some point, developers should be liable if the fault is coming from them while they are coding or while they are giving some instruction to the AI, or users. In the case of Tesla, if they give users all the prescriptions or everything that they have to know, but they still use it wrongly. And we have the questions of explainability, which is clarity, right? Any AI we have to use must be clear. We know we have the black box with AI, which it makes it difficult for even developers to really understand sometimes AI actions or reactions. But the laws and regulations are focusing on explainability to make it clear. If you want to use or create an AI, you have to be able to understand what is happening and why you have to use this AI, or why you have to deploy this AI. And the question of autonomy, this is one question that I really like, and I really think that in the future we can be able to hold AI liable. But this question is very, very tricky. Why? Because in the future we are thinking of the creation maybe of AIs that are going to act as human being, and this AI can rebel against the people that still created, put this AI out there or deploy them. So in case the AI is acting against you, who are you going to sue? In case you created a robot and you are supposed to control the robot, and because of the capacity that the robot has is acting against the person that made the robot, who is going, the person is going to sue who, if him as the owner of the company should be liable. So the question of if AI should have a legal personality so that it can be able to sue is still a very open question. So these are some key takeaway from this topic, that we need to think of ways that we can allow people to find solution to law, because I will say that legislations are the core or the basement of this responsible AI, because we discussed about responsible AI yesterday. If we want us to be using responsible AI, we need to be able to create AI that are responsible and that are aligning with the laws and regulation, to avoid people to be in a state where they don't have any um, how can I call it? They don't have solutions to their problem in case of we don't know who to hold liable. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop here. If there is any question, I'll be open for questions. Thank you.
Nostalgic. I used to be a law student, and I totally understand how the law can be biased. So without wasting any much time, if you do have questions, please drop it in the chat. I I think there's a question here, and I also think it was answered partially to an extent. If an AI system provides legal advice or drafts legal documents that leads to harm or injustice, who bears the legal responsibility? Would it be the developer, the deploying firm, the user, or the AI itself? Over to you, Ms. Dominique.
Okay, and then I want to be able to read if an AI system provides legal advice or draft legal documents that leads to harm or injustice. So who should bear the legal responsibility? In this case, first of all, I will go first for the user. Why? Because AI is not a lawyer. You are meant to go to a lawyer if you need a legal advice. So you can't go to AI to give you a legal advice. So the user will be responsible for it. There is this case, a lawyer, of course, I think used AI or ChatGPT, and AI gave him some fake cases, legal situations on AI responsibility. So the lawyer took the documentation and brought it to the court to justify that the client was not liable. So who will be responsible for that? Of course, he's a lawyer, because we have to know the AI is not a lawyer, does not have this capacity yet to give you a sound advice. So for this particular question, I would say the user. So if you need a legal advice, you better go to a lawyer first, not to AI.
That's a, that's an amazing response. All I can say is may God help us all, because if the lawyers, if the people who become lawyers are studying through AI, then what kind of lawyers are we going to produce? I'm going to read the second question. It says, considering that AI systems can act independently of their developers, how can the law establish mens rea, which is intent, which is essentially in determining liability when assigning responsibility for an AI's unlawful actions?
So, considering that AI system can act independently of their developer, how can the law establish mens rea? Okay, which is essential in determining liability when assessing responsibility for. Yes, actually, mens rea is focused on criminality, right? This is when we want to establish a criminal liability. And of course, in this situation, um, we cannot establish mens rea to AI. That is why we are actually thinking on the capacity to produce legislations and regulations that has to be able to stop maybe a, people that are creating AI to create some kind of AI that will put human being into trouble, right? Because we are talking about AI coming to replace human being, or AI being a support to human being. So with AI, you can't be able to establish mens rea. You can't be able to establish the intention to kill, because AI is just acting promptly, right, with the information that they have. So that is why in this situation and now, the person that will be responsible will still be the owner of that AI, the person that deployed the AI. And especially that can go to the developer for this situation, right? Because the company owner may give instruction to developers, right, on how they should establish the AI. Let us just take example of Tesla, right? Um, the cars, they're supposed to drive people directly. And imagine at some point the car should be stop by itself, but did not because of the block or the bug, and had an accident and the person dies.
Mhm.
They can't establish the mens rea to the car, right? The company generally should be responsible. And I think if the company has rules and regulations on how to established or to build the car, they can be able to sue the developer. But still, the developer will say it is not his um, the is not his actions, because it's the AI reacting autonomously. So that is why for now these questions are still unsolved generally. But for mens rea, we can't establish it with AI because it's the intent first. But I would say that we need to create laws, policies that will definitely help. And I said it during my presentation on the question of explainability, to be able to explain, be clear on how to use this AI. And if you cannot be able to understand how to use this AI, so better not to go for search type. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I personally believe that this is deeper than we can imagine because, for example, if for using the case study of Tesla, Tesla has been programmed to drive itself, right? And if I have somebody I don't like, for example, an ex, and I say engineer my Tesla to go to the person's house and drive right into it. Test is still doing the job that it was supposed to do, but then it was sent on an action by somebody else. In that kind of situation, the company should not be held responsible. It's the person who made that instruction that should be held responsible. But these are just my wild thoughts, and being from Nigeria, nothing is above us. Okay, so another question here is, can moral responsibility exist without legal personhood? Should AI ever be treated as a legal agent rather than a tool?
Okay, thank you. So this is the actual question on the platform for especially AI legal responsibility, to know if AI should have a legal personality. So as I was saying at the end of my presentation, if I have to give my personal thought on it, there are two sides to this question. I mean, to answering this question. If we gave to the AI a legal personality, so that AI can be sued or can be able to sue and to carry themselves, to answer of their action. Who is creating AI? Human being, right? I think human being will abuse on the creation of AI, and that will not really be the solution. They may create more dangerous AI because they know that they will not be liable or responsible of their actions. And still the same thing, if we are leaving the liability on the company or the developer, I still think that the fact that we cannot fully, totally control the all the process, the algorithm of AI will still look biased. So for now, when there are such kind of case, each person is saying that they are not responsible of this action. The developer will say, because in law, to assess the responsibility of someone, you have to be able to assess its professionalism. That means they are going to judge you according to the normal level of professionalism that is recognized. So imagine the developer did everything that he should do as developers, then he shouldn't be liable of what is not his fault, right? So I still think that this question, really need more reflections. Yes, because giving AI a legal personality will give total liberty to people to abuse. And the better way I can say is better to create laws that will actually restrain people to create AI that are going to be more destructive. Even in the Bible, we see God have to stop people that were building the Tower of Babel, right? Because they were going too far. So if you are not stopping people, they will definitely go too far. So I just think that the law should be able to prevent, to stop the deployment of certain kind of AI that can lead into more catastrophic things. Thank you.
Awesome. I totally agree with you. Let's also take a question from Mr. Jude. His hand has been up. You
Thank
can
you
go ahead, sir.
so much, moderator. Yes, my hand has been up, but wonderful presentation also on the subject matter of law and AI. Happens to also be an area of interest for me. I I love some of the questions that came up, and I just want to make a comment and then ask a question quickly. My first comment would be, it's easier to hold responsible the persons who are creating it, who are creating AI, than to hold the AI responsible, because AI behavior will keep evolving. And so it will be a lot of work for policymakers, for the law enforcement agents to begin to learn new behaviors of AI, but it's easier to hold the persons responsible. So I just made a comment out of the messages I've seen online. My question to their presenter today would be, like presentation, you have cited different legal framework from different countries. Do you think that we are slow? Do you think that the law is slow to embrace an international framework to control AI? Because we've seen France is doing something wonderful on that. EU is doing, but we have not seen so far an international, legislation regulating AI. So do you think we are very slow on that, especially for countries, many countries within some of the global south region that have not embraced AI yet in legislation? So this is my question to you. And I'm hoping we would have AI judges in the future. Of course, the limitation is AI judges would not have empathy. They cannot show
Empathy, yes.
emotions. But I think to that extent, we can actually utilize AI also in the legal profession. So my question is basically one, do you think that we are too slow from the international perspective? We have laws on law of the sea for maritime issues. We have different international framework, but when it comes to AI, so far we haven't seen anyone. So what's your take on?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Jude, for the question. Yes, I actually think that it is time for us to have a kind of international treaties on artificial intelligence that can help us to regulate the use of AI over the world. Yes, because the EU is doing a great job, as I said, and it's actually will be applicable only in the EU. And knowing that, especially legal responsibility when it comes to the use of internet is global, right? Because in internet law, generally, if you publish something in the US and the thing causes harm in Australia, right, the person can sue you from the court in Australia. So when it comes to internet, legal situations are global. So I think that in this point, of course, we really need a global legislation that can be able to be rectified, of course, if countries of the world that will be able to rectify them that can be rectified by the countries and can be applicable for this matter. I think, yes, it is time and we are being a bit slow. And I think legal persons are just waking up on the topic that has to do with AI, because in the beginning, maybe we're thinking that we are not going to reach this step, and we are being comfortable in the fact that, especially in common law, we know that the judge has uh, the authority or the capacity to interpret the law. So that means even if it's using the legislation that were applicable only on human being, not on AI, they can be able to interpret it to be able to accommodate AI. For example, in the case of negligence or in the case of vicarious responsibility. So they can still use those old legislation to be able to apply them on AI. And that is because of that, they are finding the company liable or the developer liable, right? Because in this situation, it's still linked to them as soon as AI does not have a legal personality. So I think, yes, it's time for us to act on that regard. So if we can, as lawyers and policymaker, can have a gathering to decide and to create this kind of policy, that will be a great idea. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Just my 2 cents. I don't think we need AI judges We already have a lot of biased judges. We don't need an addition with that of a robot. That's my 2 cents. I do see quite a number of questions here, but most of them have been answered in answering a different question, which essentially is we do need policymakers to sit down and create policies that are either protecting the developers or protecting the company, but most especially also limiting the kinds of AIs that can be developed. So at this point, we're going to close the curtain on this session as we go for a short coffee break. Thank you so much, Dominic, for doing such an amazing presentation today. Please, a round of applause for her. It was so amazing, so amazing. So we're going to be back shortly. We're just going to wet our throats, stretch our legs, and we will be right back. So don't go anywhere. Thank you so much.